right, my friends, we're back at it. J.R. Dukes at your service. You know, our former president, Donald Trump, is getting hammered at all ends, yet he's still in the fight. We just have to keep praying that he does what's right and that he sticks to his game plan of winning. He's fighting with so many fronts, and we just have to talk about it. Today, of course, he was in the New York City courtroom. He gave a speech when he left the courtroom, and I found this video that I want us to start with tonight. So without further ado, let's get right into this and let's start talking about it.
Well, Trump is right in that every single one of the legal actions taken against him has only helped his campaign. And it's the same thing with this ruling from the New York judge. Now, the New York judge is relying on the legal argument that Trump should not be allowed to make a closing argument on top of the closing argument that his attorneys are already planning to make. So he argues that procedurally, Trump would be giving a statement without also providing cross-examination, which goes against the legal procedure. However, if you notice the judge's statement on this, he doesn't mention the legal procedure. He mentions, well, I don't want you to turn this into a campaign speech. So he made it political. He didn't even cite the legal reasons for his decision. He made it political from the get-go. And so, in my view, this only helps Trump, because now Trump is going to rightly point out that the judge is acting politically and that he is trying to silence his speech.
Yeah, what do you think?
The New York fraud trial is disturbing to me. You know, it has no impact on whether or not he'll be on the ballot for the 2024 election, but it could cost him and his family hundreds of millions of dollars for no good reason at all. Number one, it is a victimless offense. Who's the victim? You cannot name a victim. Secondly, one of the Deutsche Bank loan officers who worked with Trump on a lot of these loans said that the bank does their own due diligence. It is not unusual for somebody to overvalue their property.
Folks, we got to talk about this. He's absolutely correct. This happens all the time in real estate type transactions. You have it to where basically the president in this case, he gives his own evaluation on a particular property that he wants to take a loan out. Now, I don't want to get into a lesson on how real estate operates or how real estate investors operate, but basically they deal with debt. They want to get loans on their properties and on their buildings because basically when they put debt in their pocket, they don't have to pay tax on it because it's debt. It's not income. Again, I don't want to get too deep in the weeds on that. However, the president, in the normal course of his business, just like a normal real estate investor would do, would basically go ahead and have his people evaluate whatever the property is that he's looking to get a loan against or another mortgage on a particular piece of property. He has disclosures and disclaimers on the very first page saying, hey, this is our estimate of this particular property. We're not guaranteeing anything about this property as far as what the way we value it. We could be wrong. You need to do your own due diligence before you give us a loan and make sure you agree. And like this guy here said, the bank, the Deutsche Bank, said straight up that they understand the way the game's played and that this is the normal course of business and that Donald Trump did not do anything wrong when he gave them the valuation that he said his properties were worth. As a matter of fact, the bank representative on the stand said that even if Donald Trump overvalued by half, in other words, he doubled the value of his property inappropriately, they still would have had Donald Trump as their premier client, and they would have gave him the same loan under the same terms. Nobody lost any money. There are no victims saying, hey, consumer fraud happened to me. It's just that simple. It never happened. Nobody has come forward and said Donald Trump screwed me and didn't pay me as a result of whatever's going on here. Another thing that you have to understand is that the judge on the very first day said, hey, I have decided he has committed fraud. And as a result, all we're going to worry about hammering out is damages. And at that point, the trial went from terrible to worse because they didn't even have a chance. You also have to remember the very first day the judge said Donald Trump's property at Mar-a-Lago was worth what the tax assessor said it was worth. Another outrage. In Florida, and as in most states in the United States, what the county assessor says your property is worth does not necessarily mean anything. It just means what they're going to go ahead and tax you on. It's generally a very, very low fraction of what your property is actually worth. And I have made other videos on that, so you're welcome to look those up if you like. Let's get back into this video here.
Then the bank looks at it and they ratchet the valuation back down in their own due diligence process.
That's the way it works everywhere.
Correct. And then you have Letitia James, who claims that Mar-a-Lago is worth 18 million, I think she said it was.
Yes,
18 million.
Yeah, 18 million.
There was a luxury real estate broker in Palm Beach in 2021 who valued it at $1 billion with a B.
Yeah, see that 18 million, that's what I was talking about. That's exactly what the county tax assessor said the property is worth, was 18 million. And the judge, he doesn't know anything about real estate. He said, yeah, it should have been valued at 18 million, not whatever Donald Trump said it was worth.
Wow.
Come on.
I mean, it's really hard to believe that charge, Mike, when we all know that you have auditors in place. That's what they do. They assess properties, they assess wealth, and it's not for the person to say this is what something's worth. They have people who they pay to do that.
Maria, this is the latest in a long line of communist tactics from the left. And this trial should be terrifying to every single private business owner in the state of New York and the United States of America. There is no reason for this trial to exist. As Mark just pointed out, you cannot have fraud without a victim. Okay, and if you have the alleged victim standing, jumping on top of their head, saying we made a ton of money, we were not defrauded, we knew exactly what we were doing, then it gets reduced to what this is. It's a pure political confiscation of private assets in the private sector. This is a terrifying trial. Remember, it's Trump that's destroying democratic norms.
Folks, you have to remember, I have to point out that this is something that actually has been going on in the United States for years. It just, at this point, is happening to someone like Donald Trump, who's obviously very powerful and who is in the public eye all the time. This type of activity has been going on for years. I know it's been going on my entire lifetime. And basically it works like this. If you make the wrong person mad, these so-called deep state individuals will be called the deep state. These are the administrators that are in the state and federal government, or they're called secretaries, even in the federal level, like the secretary of such and such. State level, federal level, at all levels, there are people that basically have power over us. They regulate us. They have to give us permission to do certain things like pull permits or whatever. These are the people that if you make them mad at you and you make an enemy out of them, God help you, because they are going to come for you and they're going to destroy you. I have seen people destroyed just like they're trying to do to Donald Trump. But in Donald Trump's situation, he's got the money, the resources to fight back. And of course, all of America sees this for what it is. Nothing more than a political persecution, not a prosecution. They're trying to destroy this man because they don't want him to be our president again. And that is ridiculous, and we can't stand for it.
Democratic institutions, right? Please, like this is so scary and ridiculous. This is straight out of the Soviet Union, out of communist China, and to call it anything else is totally and completely ridiculous.
Yeah, and that's why he keeps doing well, as you pointed out. You know, you look at the New York trials or the New York charges, then you look at Georgia. I mean, look, what about Georgia and Fani Willis?
You're right, and that's an interesting development as well, because one of the attorneys involved with representing one of the clients who's being prosecuted by Fani Willis released a filing accusing Fani Willis of having an improper relationship with the lead prosecutor that she has placed over her Trump case. Now, what's interesting here is that there's no explicit proof in the filings that they were having this illicit affair. However, what's really important in that case is that the lead prosecutor that Fani Willis is alleged to have had an affair with has no qualifications for the job. He has no experience.
That's not atypical.
But this is what's remarkable, is regardless of whether there's proof that she was involved with him, she appointed him knowing that he had never tried a single felony trial. And there are plenty of other Georgia prosecutors who have that experience. So why did she choose him? I wonder.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible, all of these attacks. And
gee, I wonder why she chose that prosecutor. You know, I have been making a lot of videos pertaining to Miss Sweet, Beautiful Fani Willis and her new boyfriend. His name is attorney Nathan Wade. This is another example of just how outrageous all this woke liberal nonsense. This is criminal. This is something that I am definitely going to be talking about. So stay tuned. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe. You got to catch my videos that are coming out. I just made one yesterday. If you haven't checked it out, please be sure to do so. I go in depth on this Fani Willis case, and I have more videos coming out because I have the actual papers that were filed pertaining to this Fani Willis case. And as soon as the actual divorce documents from her boyfriend Nathan Wade are made public again, we will go over that. This attorney for this one defendant, her name is Ashley Merchant. She's the attorney for Michael Roman. This Fani Willis, and this happens in life, folks, this happens a lot. You have somebody that you decide just to run over. That's what Fani Willis did. She ran over this Michael Roman. The jury would not indict him. She ignored that. She went ahead and indicted him anyway. He's basically just a smaller peon on her way to destroy Donald Trump. Well, guess what? This Michael Roman had the good sense, the good fortune of running into Ashley Merchant. Miss Ashley Merchant just went ahead, got online probably at the Cobb County Recorder's Office, did a search for this Nathan Wade, and boom, found out he's going through a divorce. She started looking through the papers online, printed them off, whatever, and all the juicy gossip, all the juicy details came out from his soon-to-be ex-wife. And I'm assuming what has happened here, if all this is true, what has happened is that this Nathan Wade divorced his wife the day after Fani Willis hired him. So he's been paid $654,000 as of the date of this recording, and he has been essentially funneling it, if the allegations are true, back to Fani Willis in the form of trips, in the form of meals and vacations, and who else knows what. Unbelievable. It is just really shocking, the criminal activity and how stupid people are. Folks, this has happened repeatedly in relation to Donald Trump. There has been people that has tried to take Donald Trump out, and then when they start throwing stones at him, well, you know how it goes. People that throw stones, you shouldn't live in a glass house, because these people ended up having major problems themselves after trying to go after and take out Donald Trump. Fani, you should have made a better choice. Nathan, you should have made a better choice. It is what it is. You're going to get what you deserve. Fani, you should not have went after somebody with a RICO statute. It was never intended for that type of junk, and you know it. It was designed for gangsters, not for a sitting or former U.S. president. Folks, if this can happen to Donald Trump, where he can have his house raided, he can have his children harassed and sued, and someone could try to take every asset he's ever had in his entire life because she says he valued his properties too much when there's no victims, that's ridiculous, and it shouldn't stand. We should not allow this to happen in the United States. So please join me. Make sure, listen, if you're still with me, go ahead and hit the thumbs up button. You might as well subscribe. Share this with somebody that you think might benefit from this recording. They need to know the truth. Indoctrination is a real thing in our country, and we have to put a stop to it. All right? It's just that simple. So until next time, I want you to keep that mind free and never give up, my friends. I am J.R. Dukes.